I realize it's tempting following an election to say that the winning side is just going to keep on winning, but I think the left has painted themselves in such a weird corner of identity politics. It's going to be so hard for them to just say, forget all that. Forget what we were talking about for the last 10 years, almost every single second, and we'll change our strategy. I mean, listen to the way they're still talking.
Standpoint, being around them. We got the holidays coming up.
So I love that you asked this question because, there is a push, I think just a societal norm that if somebody is your family, that they are entitled to your time. And I think the answer is absolutely not. So if you are going into a situation where you have family members, where you have close friends who have voted in ways that are against you, like what you said, against your livelihood, and it's completely fine to not be around those people. And
do you think people like that are just going to very easily be able to be convinced they should pivot away from this stuff? I don't think so. Those people are cooked.
Take everything
And this is another example. It's like Democrats don't even know how to talk about policy. Tim Walz basically bragging he doesn't know what a venture capitalist is. You better know that if you're running to be the vice president of the most powerful country on earth. But Gwen Walz here, listen to the way they talk. They're just so programmed into this fight. It's almost like politics is a therapy session for a lot of Democrats. They don't even know how to talk. And by the way, it was reported, at least a rumor, but I think it's true based on my opinion. I think it's true just as a hunch, but there's a rumor that Kamala and Tim Walz and even Gwen Walz were not speaking, and there was a rift at the end of the campaign. Kamala and Tim were not on speaking terms in the final days of the campaign. Tensions had escalated after Harris excluded Walz's wife from campaign events in the final weeks, which she did. If you remember, Gwen Walz had that turn the page, and she was so corny. And I think Kamala correctly was like, Gwen Walz, please quit speaking. I think that's actually a good call from Kamala Harris. Well, I don't know why Gwen, Tim Walz's wife, even wanted to be speaking. You're not on the ticket. It's your husband. But basically culminating in the cancellation of a reproductive rights event in Maine. Additionally, Harris repeatedly and scathingly criticized Walz for his inability to engage effectively with young male voters. And again, I can't confirm that that's true, but that seems reasonable to me. And I also noticed that Kamala did not mention Gwen Walz in her concession speech.
To my beloved Doug and our family, I love you so very much. To President Biden and Dr. Biden, thank you for your faith and support. To Governor Walz and the Walz family, I know your service to our nation will continue.
Dang. Everyone else's spouse got mentioned. Her own spouse, she mentioned Biden and Dr. Jill Biden. That's tough. And then the way Gwen and a lot of these Democrats talk, there's nothing policy. It's just so emotion driven.
feeling our fear, our fatigue, our frustration, and let us use it as our fuel. Yes, we have got to dig in, and not only dig in, we have got to dig deep. And we have to be steadfast and stubborn. And it is going to take all of us. That's right. But we cannot, and we will not give up this fight.
I mean, she's not technically in politics, but that is also how a lot of the major Democrats right now talk. I mean, AOC comes to mind. She basically ran on hysteria and continues to talk so hysterically about every issue. Fascism, blah, we're going to have to resist Trump. The Democrats, I think, are a massive mess right now. I think they actually need like a Trump-like figure to come disrupt their party, which I'm going to bring up after this clip.
There's this sense, right, that whiteness, right, is under threat. The demographic shifts. The country isn't what all of these racially ambiguous children on Cheerios commercials are confusing the hell out of me.
Right? Eddie, a lot of people voted because their life's too damn expensive. And it was here, and it was...
They voted for... You're telling me, Stephanie, that all of these people who believe that their lives are... that
He can't even accept the premise of that. The Democratic Party is in a bad place.
bread is too high and eggs are too high, that they voted for a convicted fella, a guy who said we can grab the pea.
I think that a lot
They voted for this
listen,
guy.
I'm not defending it, but I think there are tons of people that don't pay attention to, and I'm not defending it, don't pay attention to politics at all. But while we live in the most prosperous country in the world, people are saying life's not fair. I'm not doing well. My son's still living in the basement. I can't seem to get a job. I don't like the status quo. I'm voting for something else. And he was
I
the person.
love you to life,
I love you.
But I do not believe that. I cannot believe that.
People like this, the Democratic Party, if they want to win, that person, at least that idea, maybe he can come around, that has to be pushed away from politics. Like, he could still have his feelings and his movement or his takes and just his kind of political view if he wants to, but that needs to be essentially an underground movement of people that want to just harp on identity politics and just not accept that people are voting on economics. Maybe they don't even like Trump personally. He can't, again, that brand of thinking cannot be a dominant strain in your party or you will never win. I firmly believe that. The whole woke stuff, I think that might be gone for 100 years. It might be gone. I think there's so many people that if you've experienced that in the last 10 years, you are in your lifetime, you are never going to accept that kind of stuff, which I'll show in this clip again. It's just always going to rub you the wrong way. You're going to remember all the censorship during COVID and even before that. Again, it might take an entire life cycle of humans for this to even have a chance again. And maybe it never will because there's going to be a lot of clips, but I mean, maybe if you've never experienced it, I'm sure history kind of repeats itself in a way we will see. But I really think, as I was saying before, the Democrats need a figure to come in. This is my take. Like Trump, in the sense he doesn't care what certain people, like that person from the last clip, you need a person in the Democratic Party to just say, you're wrong, we don't care, it's economics. You need, because you're not going to have exactly the same view as Trump, you're going to probably need more of a left-wing populist figure that has a pro-union, maybe a pro-higher taxes even. I'm not saying I would vote for this person, but pro-union, pro-higher taxes, maybe even pro-universal basic income or a negative income tax or a higher earned income tax credit, something to sell to the average worker to say, hey, all these people at the top have all the money, Silicon Valley, Wall Street, we're going to have policies that boost you up. And I mean, Trump sells that message. Maybe you could just sell that from a different perspective in terms of a little bit higher taxes and a little bit more of a boost to the incomes of people at the bottom. And at the same time, that person has to say, I believe, to the far left in the policy, the people that talk, like the person in the clip I'm going to show and the person that I just showed, they need to be able to tell them to shut up or you're never going to win. There's no middle ground here. If you have a significant part of your party that doesn't let other people speak and makes everything about identity politics, I just firmly believe you're going to keep getting crushed. It's embarrassing. The average person cannot relate to it. And as that Stephanie Ruhle said in the last clip, that's just not, they're not going to vote for that. They're not going to care. You're not going to convince them that the next Republican candidate is a fascist.
Who don't believe boys should play girls' sports.
They're not boys. I'm not going to listen to transphobia at this table. I am not going to listen to you call a trans girl a boy.
Are you going to allow me to finish my explanation?
When you use a word that's a slur, I'm going to interrupt. That's not how it is. They're not boys. They're not boys. They're not playing girls' softball. I'm not going to sit there and listen to that.
Let's reset for a second because, look, this is a really heated issue, right? And Sharmichael, I know you. I know that you understand that people have different views on this. I think out of respect for Jay, let's try to talk about this in a way that is respectful.
Okay, so let me rephrase it.
So what happened there, this guy started talking and he used a word that the other person didn't like. He triggered his brain. Now the conversation was moderated. Just change what you were saying. Okay, you can continue, but change what you're saying. There's no discussion there. That's just censorship. That's shut up. frame like this. The other guy in the clip, the white dude, now is framing the entire conversation. That's ridiculous. Not on merit, just based on whining like a little baby. Now I got the moderator to say, okay, frame it differently. That's how you win, apparently, on CNN. You just cry victim. So, if the Democratic Party can't root this kind of stuff out, they might lose by 48 states, 50 states. Republicans might win California next time. I mean, tell me how I'm wrong. This is never going to play. You're just going to win over, again, like the only gains I believe that Kamala had were wealthy people and like very people that do not like religion at all. I believe that's true. Don't quote me on that. I'm not going to look it up at this moment, but her gains were with like this, basically the elites. She gained votes with the elites that can choose to vote on luxury issues. And so that'll keep happening. Anyway, I'll finish the video here, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think the Democrats are in a ton of trouble.